He wrestles up or he shoots a single leg on me, okay? This arm is gonna cut near side, between me and his head. This is gonna loop, I'm gonna grab a seatbelt, and then I'm gonna think not about squeezing him tight, but using this forearm to lever his head away as I drop my hip to the mat. Okay, now as soon as I get here, if you're not gonna go for a back take roll, I want you to walk toward the back. We're gonna end up knee close to his knee, 45-degree base, and then we're gonna immediately start fishing for that collar. Thumb knuckle cuts under the ear through the jaw. I set my first grip. This grip, you're gonna get every time you go for this choke. What about this one? Kind of depends. Guy my size or smaller, I see this wrist available, I swim through, I bar the wrist. I go for my choke. Somebody a little bit bigger, I'm really concerned with keeping top position. I don't go for the wrist bar, I swim through here, palm to the ceiling, on the hamstring, spiral ride, okay? Base, slide forward, rib cage goes to the back of his head. Farther than you think, it's almost like you're gonna fall off the top. And when I lay down, I pull my top shoulder to the ceiling and look up, get a quick tap, okay? Most common mistake people make, Jermaine and I think, didn't we talk about this the other day? Yep. Let's go to the choke. Is when people get all the way into the choke, they wanna do this. They wanna pull everything up. And it gets rather loose when I do that. I don't wanna look up and chest up. I wanna keep my chest and head down, turn the shoulder up, get a quick tap. So the first position that we got into, he left a bunch of space for me to cut this thumb in, hit my spiral ride, and go into my choke. Now we're just gonna stage it up a little bit. He's gonna tighten things down, okay? So new option, something a little different. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna bait him into a crucifix position, or I can force the crucifix position. There's two ways to do this, okay? Way number one, I can get whatever upper body controls I want. If it's too tight to put a seatbelt together, this collar grip is really awesome. And then any grip on the opposite hip or pant is really nice too. We're gonna explore this position as our third technique. But what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put my foot just kind of like close to his head over here. Sometimes, especially guys with a wrestling background, they just can't help it. They gotta grab that leg, okay? And you'll note that it's a different leg than the one he had before. The one he had before was this one, okay? That's a different story, but I'm offering this now. Not too close, because I actually want to have enough power to draw it away. So if he does reach for it, boom, right here, I immediately start to draw that foot back, and I'm gonna hand it off to my other leg. So I'm gonna spin a little bit, Jermaine, so they can all see. Once I hook his wrist, I'm gonna extend this leg back, and then when I think I can't go back any farther, I'm really gonna mule kick back, and then I hand it off to my other leg. And now I can create my figure four. Most common mistake people make with this crucifix is they try to control the arm with this front leg. They try to do this, then they dive over into what's a very loose crucifix, okay? Spin this one. So I bait it. He grabs it, I draw it all the way back, almost kicking the back wall, hand it off to my back leg, and now I can make my figure four across my feet, okay? Now, go back a step. Let's say I do that, and he does not offer it. It's also possible for me just to force the technique by using the collar grip, whatever opposite hip grip I have, and then I just move away from him and give him a really hard pull in this direction. If he doesn't do anything, if he doesn't put his hand out, then he might roll to a more vulnerable position or expose a hook, okay? So sometimes what guys will do when you grab this grip and you pull, they'll extend that arm, then you can hook and do the exact same thing we just did, okay? Now we're here. There are a few different routes into the crucifix position from here. My favorite is to build up a base on this leg and then dive over the top. Okay, now as I dive over the top, you're gonna see me control this arm. So we'll get into this in a second. All I care about right now is I start bringing a loop through to control his elbow here. So I go from here to here, okay? So now let's talk about this control. So this is pretty important. You're gonna have like a very strong urge to control the person with a seatbelt here. And this will work on people who are your size or smaller, but if you get somebody stronger, all he's gonna do is take this arm, he's gonna reach hard in this direction, he's gonna start to turn his way on top. So what I prefer to do here is I prefer to bring myself elbow to elbow. I'll do this, and then I put my hand either behind my head or I'll grab my own collar. I really prefer to put my hand behind my head. Now I'm working at the longer end of a lever here, and if he tries to reach and turn away, it's much harder for him to do, okay? So with this grip and with proper control of his other arm, I've got a free arm here and I've got a foot on the mat that I can hip escape and move. So if he does try to bridge over me and escape, I can doorstop his head and I can move with it until he gets tired of doing that, okay? Now from this position, so spice it. Now from this position, I'm gonna take this hand, very similar choking grip to our first one. I'm gonna go under his jaw, I'm gonna find his collar, okay? And I can take my time and feed that, but please resist the urge to do this. Because for a moment you leave this arm free, he can dive over the top and get out. Okay, that's a very risky thing to do. So instead, I'm just gonna climb in slowly. With this free arm I have, I'm gonna close my elbow, and I'm gonna draw his collar across his neck, and I'm gonna get my choke with one arm.